culture, when you like ask a boy out and you're rejected, right? They say that the sadness lingers in the end of your hair. And that's why after girls like get rejected, when they like confess their feelings, they'll cut their hair.
I did not even know this was a thing.
Yeah, I feel like Mathis.
That's why I got my hair cut.
I'm cutting all my hair out, Mathis.
I trimmed my beard. I cut my hair because all that sadness
is why
lingers.
Mathis has cut his hair.
It's true.
I appreciate you sprucing up for the final show for me tonight.
No problem, man. All for you.
He really cleaned up for you.
Yeah. I'm gonna miss you. We're gonna miss you, Bear. I know it's not a goodbye. It's a see you later, and you said you might come back, you know, here and there. But Otto has been nothing but a pleasure to play with, and Barry, you've done such a good job of bringing him to life. So let's make sure this last session is a good one.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm ready.
And don't worry, Edge of Morality is continuing from here on, even though 2 characters are basically getting shoved to the side. In case you're curious, the 4th spot will sometimes not be filled at all. It'll just be the 3 of us, and sometimes there'll be guest spots that'll be in for a few week stints. We're working on that. But Edge of Morality isn't going anywhere. Rye and Grommen still have a hell of a story to tell, and I've got a new character coming in some point in this session as well. So let's recap. Scott, what happened in the last episode of Edge of Morality?
Oh God, it's been such a long time.
It's been such a long time.
Let's see. Last week, to sum it up, Rye and Otto and Grommen kind of had a moment where they met Grommen's bird. Otto had a moment where he hung out with Simwick, and Simwick was more or less like, you and I, we're gonna be boys together. We're gonna be such close boys. We're gonna be NPCs together. And then they traveled their way all the way to Silvery Moon, and there they met somebody by the name of Sook. She was an interesting old lady, very interesting old lady. She also happens to be, that culture that Rye is, which is for some reason I'm forgetting at the moment. Shao, thank you. Oh my God. She also happens to be Shao. So she met with them. She more or less just kind of like talked about lines and connections between people and da-da-da-da-da. More or less just told Rye everything she already knew and was surprised that Rye already knew that. Was like, I'm going to do what I can to try to help you learn more. And then kind of like peaced out and went her way. Rye rejoining the rest of the party. Thonk, on the other hand, had a run-in with a group of dwarves. One of them that the rest of the party had met beforehand, where he was like, I will find this hammer, or it was a sword originally. That group of dwarves eventually found the desecrated sacred weapon of Dumathoin, came back to hunt down and find Thonk, found Thonk alone, traveling through the woods by himself, and Thonk killed him, killed the paladin, no problem. It was literally like I think 3 rounds. You're dead. Goodbye, buddy. You're out of here. Thonk went to go walk away. His companions threatened Thonk's friends. Thonk turned back to fight them, and then killed one of them twice. I know that sounds weird. Killed one of them twice. Actually, it was an elven dude's mom who happened to be a dwarf. Don't ask questions. Killed her twice. And he did so specifically to make sure that his friends went on, because Thonk was a piece of shit, but he was always loyal to his friends. You know what I mean? He was a good guy.
That's what we wrote on his
our piece of shit, right?
Yeah. So the party does not know that yet. As it stands in the game, the party does not know. So when we come back to the game, as I had said beforehand, Sook had told Rye that she was going to get Rye a meeting with hopefully Lady Illustrial. She is she's the woman that runs Silvery Moon, or at least one of the people that runs Silvery Moon, but the one that runs it. And she also happens to be the daughter, or one of the daughters, of Mistra, the goddess of magic. So this is not like some random NPC that you're speaking to. The whole idea is that you are speaking to literally somebody who's touched through motherhood by a god. So certainly a significant figure. So we're fast forwarding a couple of days, and obviously you guys haven't heard from Thonk yet, and I imagine at some point in time Otto would reach out to Thonk using the way he knows best. Otto, what do you say?
Grommen's just like, hello. No, I'm just kidding. Again, like last time. That's so funny.
That was good.
Otto leans into the stone and goes, breaker. No.
Technology exists suddenly.
I'm getting a little magical interference in here with the Mythals.
Thonk, where are you?
Nothing.
Time passes. Huh. I can't send another message though, right? Because
You can, because actually, no. I think it is one a day. I'm gonna check that right now.
I thought it's one a day.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's one of those
once
things.
Every 24 hours.
Maybe doing this like every day for like 2 weeks. Like
yeah, let's.
You hit Thonk up and there hasn't been any response for like 2 weeks.
Right. So I can be, 20 days have passed, right? 2 weeks in D&D time. I'm learning.
You're Faerun time.
Days.
You've got Faerun time down.
Wow. That's good. Good bear. That's amazing.
I'm maybe like sat on a bridge. We're in Silvery Moon, of course, at this time as well, right? So we've sort of acclimated ourselves into the. Oh yeah, well look at that. Of course, we are in Silver Moon.
Hanging out in paradise.
Right.
Compared to like the orcish hell you've been living in for like the past year.
So I want to be kind of taking a walk through the streets of Silvery Moon. I will have asked Grommen if he wanted to join me. Does he want to do so?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Walking with Grommen, I send another message through the stone. Thonk, if you're there, answer me.
He no answer you?
I've been sending him messages every day. He hasn't responded. I'm wondering where he is.
That not like Thonk.
It's not like Thonk at all.
He even answer when I just say hello.
Yeah. Which is also not like Thonk when you think about it.
I wonder where he is.
We keep walking, and we're probably walking to a bar. Is a safe bet. If Grommen and Otto are out walking the streets together, that may be the destination.
The finest meat in all the lands. The finest wine in all the lands. The finest beer. You get the point.
Silver Moon is fancy.
Fancy.
Well, we may not know where Thonk is, but once he gets here, I'm sure he'll be happy with it. As we enter the establishment, I suppose.
I don't know if you like
already
it
got
here.
a table for you. She hollers you over.
Oh look, there Rye.
Scurry on over there. Hey,
Go over. Sit down.
So I sit down. I haven't heard from Thonk in 2 weeks.
Rye's like pretty half cut at this point. She's like,
I don't think he's coming back.
You don't think he likes us? Grumman looks sad.
I don't think he ever liked us.
No.
she kicks it back.
No, he liked me.
He liked us, right? I look over to Grommen.
Maybe you're right though. Maybe he no like me. He tried to cut me once.
He wanted to do that ritual with. He was trying to share with you.
When I spoke to the blind lady, she was looking at. It was like a spider. It was like a.
Oh, I know like spiders.
It was, the plucking thing she did. The threads of fate.
The lyre?
Like an instrument, like when Otto play guitar. Or,
The lyre.
whatever.
It's hard. It's hard to. You wouldn't understand. Listen. Shh. Shh. Listen.
If I don't understand, why you explain?
Listen. She said, Thonk is not in my future. He's gone.
What?
What?
You were there? And you were there? No Thonk.
I'm
I
just
don't know. I don't know.
It's like hard to.
Do you think she tell the future? Ooh, I wonder if she can tell me what I eat tomorrow.
Just because she says he's not in your future doesn't mean he's not coming back. He wouldn't just leave us.
Rye like leans in to you, so we're like super close. And she's like,
Wouldn't he?
I'm like,
and then she drinks some more.
Otto just sort of looks around a minute, gets up and walks over to the bartender. I'm just going to grab a mead. Come back. Sit down. Okay.
I imagine Grommen already grabbed one on the way to sitting down.
Yeah.
Maybe probably grabbed like 3 actually.
So if he's not coming back, and take a big old sip. Should we leave him?
What do we do?
Huh. All of a sudden, Otto's like feeling this new sensation that he hasn't felt before, like a sense of
freedom,
control of his future, of openness and wonder that he hasn't felt in quite some time. And all the doors are open. And his kind of like perplexed frown slowly kind of creeps into like a wry smile, like, oh, we can, and I say this out loud, we can do whatever we want.
We always do whatever we want.
Now you're talking.
You've been doing what you want?
I think so. What do I want?
That's a great question. What do you want?
I want to fly with Gregory.
That's a great idea. Where's Gregory? I'm taking a few more sips now because I'm starting to get a little excited about all this.
Is it daytime or nighttime right now?
It is, we'll say it's like late afternoon.
Okay.
Okay. I think Gregory taking nap.
We can ride Gregory later. What should we do now?
Grumman like drinks his...
Otto thinks too. It just starts taking another drink.
I think we need catch up with Rye.
Agreed.
I'm just waiting to see the door of the magic.
The door of the magic.
The door of the magic?
Door!
Daughter?
Yeah.
Is she hot?
I'm to be determined.
He takes another big swig.
Okay, I wait too. Grumman takes and drinks like one of the mugs completely and sits it down and like goes on to the next one.
All right. So I should be like, I suppose, taking some initiative toward my own goals at this point. So, you know, because that's what Otto does. He's always looking toward, you know, ambitious undertakings. So let's tell the fellas here. I'm gonna go have a walk. And I put my mead down and I head outside.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I want to head toward the college.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. So you start heading over towards that area of Silvery Moon. Or again, Silvery Moon, I've described it before. I'll describe it very briefly this time. It's just absolutely beautiful. The fact that, I mean, it's not just like perfect woods. It's not just like houses made into trees. It's almost as though these houses were meant to be here, were meant to be lived in. These trees were meant to be lived in for all eternity. And I don't mean some typical elven garbage where it's like, no, but elves, they live in unity with nature. This place was literally created by ancient magics that Otto hopes to one day be able to begin to scratch the surface of wrapping his head around. Mythals is one of the words used to describe the kind of magics that these are from. These are from ages past when magics were greater than mortal people can even get to nowadays. Anyways, so this place is beautiful. However, where the college is, the part of town where that is, it is even more so. This is, out of all the Bardic colleges that are well known throughout Faerun, this is by far the one that's most well heralded. These are the ones that people just like, they know the name, they look up to the name. Like you remember, you mentioned this Simwick and how is his reaction, right? Not everybody's welcome to join this college. And certainly not everybody that hopes to, not everybody even thinks that they have an opportunity in this college, and everybody that tries to does not necessarily get in. They're good people. It's just they only take the best because they have high expectations. So you go to that region of the town where everything is in harmony, and you start making your way to the college. When you come to realize that it's not like you're looking for it in a particular estate, it's almost like the college was always around you. Like you suddenly find yourself, you're walking through the trees and the homes and the beauty, and then you realize, no, I'm actually on the campus. How big is this campus? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where you find yourself at the moment. Go ahead.
Okay. Just wandering around, like you said. Otto would absolutely take some time to admire the inherent beauty of the place as well. So I'm just sort of slowly, not really walking with any sort of, like determination in my step. I'm just kind of meandering through the place as I look building to building, take in the sights, and even, if I happen upon maybe some students passing by, I'd like to try to strike up a conversation with somebody if I get the opportunity.
Well, do that in one moment. Roll me a perception check, please. Thank you. So one of the things that you notice as you're traveling through this area, and of course you're going to approach a student, one of the things that you notice is that the beauty is so great. The noises that the animals are making, the way the wind is blowing through the leaves, all that stuff, it almost seems to be like it's making music itself, but it's just clearly just the magic of this place, the beauty of this place. Okay, so it's kind of like one of the things that you're gathering as you're walking through. All right, so anyways, you look around, you try to find an approachable group of students. There's all walks of life here. Will become members of this school as long as they are accepted in. Is there any particular group that you're looking for, or is this kind of like the first one that really catches my eye?
I don't have anything in mind. Yeah, I'm just sort of gathering information right now.
Sure. So looking for the first group that you're not really going to be interrupting as you're walking by, you can see there's a group of 3 people that are just sitting around. One of them is literally tuning his instrument. And 2 others are just kind of like barely starting their practices or whatever. Clearly they know each other because they're all in a very close group to one another, starting to get their practice session probably started.
Awesome. Otto kind of just, does the timid approach of, hello, hi, yes, I'd like to have a conversation with you if you're not too busy.
Sure.
Says hello to the nearest one.
Absolutely. So looking across the group of them, one of them is an elf, and that's the one that's going to be nearest to you. The other 2, they look like they're human, but like very, very fair-looking humans. Maybe half elf. You can't quite tell unless you go like poking the ears or asking questions or something, right? So anyways, the closest one to you, you walk up to him and just kind of like, oh, if you're not too busy, you can have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And this elf that's looking to you, he's got like long blonde hair, these crystal blue. No, wait, are those green? No, they got to be blue. I don't know. These crystal eyes, they're absolutely gorgeous. These very sharp features, look like they could cut stone. And as you ask that question, he slowly looks down at you and a smile grows across his face.
Hey there, Otto. I reach out to shake his hand.
Oh, Otto. The name is Evermeal. It's a pleasure.
Evermeal? Okay. Looks like you've got a fine group here. Are you preparing to perform?
Rehearse.
I just thought I'd ask you quickly. Could you point me in the direction of the headmaster or your regional equivalent?
Oh, you have interest in the school?
I do, yeah.
Well, I certainly can. Have you been admitted yet?
Not yet, but looking to expedite that process, he says with a big smile.
Well, friends, Otto, would you do us the pleasure of showing us, I suppose, what you're made of? None of us are here with the school, but I'm curious what kind of peoples they'd be letting in nowadays.
Well, I suppose I could play a song or two. Sure, he aims to draw his lute, and he says, "What would you like to hear?"
He looks at the lute itself, and let me make a check really quickly.
That fucking DOS lute, though.
DOS lute.
He looks at the lute, and he has no clue what it is. The second person who kind of like looks up briefly has no clue what it is either. But as you ask that question, he goes to respond. He's like, "Oh, it would be a pleasure to." The third person actually is like, "Is that a DOS lute?"
Ah, keen eye. It is indeed.
You've learned the style of DOS?
Well, done my part, yeah. Rushed
have you
off a bit.
Have you been to the college to the south?
The college to the south?
To learn DOS?
No.
Well, I mean, it's not the real college that closed years ago, but they were teaching it to the. Wait, how did you learn it then? Because I applied there and they said no.
I just learned it
On your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, listen, we're going to be in for a treat if he learned how to play a DOS lute on his own. They told me I didn't have the heart to play a DOS lute. They told me that I had the heart of a cat and couldn't roar like a lion. Oh, if you could play DOS, that'd be incredible. Wow, he's got a DOS lute. And the other ones are actually genuinely looking impressed. The other human, more so than the elf, who's kind of like looking down at it, almost a little bit of disbelief, like not believing that it's a lute, not disbelief, like, oh, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well then, if it's a DOS lute that you have on you, I suppose what I'd like to hear is, an epic tale of battles past.
Let me dip into my catalog of 25-minute ballads here. Hold on.
Does Otto say that?
You know what? Sure. It's his last show. Why not? He says that.
The other two actually, one of them like chuckles pretty heartily, and the other one outright guffaws, like the one that got rejected from DASA for. However, he just gives like a quick, huh.
Uh-huh. And I after I say that, I feign reaching back there for something, but I actually do pluck out a little, just a little makeshift pick, actually, that Otto has constructed. He's trying out a little bit of a newer style for the lute. And he says...
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Roll me a perception check really quickly.
Sure. No!
Oh, too bad. You don't notice that at one point in time, Grauman took your pick and inscribed a little picture of an eagle on it.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
And after withdrawing the pick from my pack, I look over to the one that said he was rejected, and I say, well, have you know, it is all in the heart, my friend. And I strum, and I proceed to play an epic ballad.
Is it the one about Grauman slaying a dragon that isn't?
You're damn right.
the one fake one.
Oh yeah,
the only one I've got, but it works. Damn it.
Yeah, it always seals the
Absolutely.
deal.
Always seals the deal.
So you do your performance, and it's one of those things where as you're playing your performance, again, the DOS lute is not set up the way a typical lute is. The way you're supposed to hold it, everything about the way it is that you play this instrument is very different from how it is you typically play a lute. So some people are passing by, but anybody that happens to because they can hear the music, and the music is beautiful. It's a great song. Obviously, they've heard equal quality here. You're at this college, right? However, anybody that happens to toss a glance over notices like the way your hand is moving and the dexterity that it requires to pull off the notes that you're making, and they like stop, and they'll either stop to watch for like a minute or so before they continue going on their way, or people will actually gather around and watch, because again, this is not a typical lute or a typical style of play, and so you actually get a small crowd of most likely other students that are gathering around and watching the performance. As soon as you finish the performance, which ends on if I remember correctly, it ends on kind of like an exciting note, like not a depressing. It ends on like a really big high.
Yeah.
Like a feel of victory comes over you when the song ends.
Grauman the mighty.
The person that got rejected before literally jumps to his feet, clapping. A few other people that arrived in the audience around you. I'd like to say Otto was so immersed in his music he didn't know the audience, but we're talking about Otto here. He was counting the people as they showed up. So he jumps to his feet with a loud clap. The other human next to him stands up as well and gives a clap. And even the elf, who is seeming haughty to you, he even like looks impressed, like genuinely like I didn't expect that. Mm-hmm. The one that jumped to his feet clapping loudly, he comes over and he's like, that was incredible. You need to get accepted into this college so that you could teach me that.
Well, I would certainly hope to. Again, I'm looking to, expedite that process if you can point me in the correct direction.
I'll just sit with us, practice with us for a while. We'll send you the right way, but come on, come get some pointers.
I sort of look around. I might be in a bit of a hurry today, if that's okay, but another time perhaps.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that's fine. Well, then if you don't mind, and he turns back to the other ones, he's like, if you don't mind, I'll bring him to where he's supposed to go. Just kind of like trying to be polite.
Yeah.
Instead of just kind of like giving you directions and sending you on.
Sure.
Excuse me. So, and he just starts walking off with you. Okay.
Yeah.
So he does start walking off with you, whatever. And one of the first things that he asks, he's like, so have you ever played a Bandora before?
Bandora? No.
Oh, you haven't? Well, I mean, I know we're called the lyrists, but the Bandora is typically the instruments that's the classic instrument that's used amongst those that come to this college and train here. There are the few that will actually pick up a lyre or a hand harp or something similar and can do the music that way. But most people use a Bandora, and certainly it would work in your favor if you were to learn to use one. Do you own one?
I don't. Although, well, it's difficult to explain why, but I do have a certain proclivity toward the lyre.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh. And he kind of stiffens his back a little bit at that. Like, oh, well, that's good for you.
I don't mean to offend, of course. I would welcome the opportunity to expand my repertoire, but the lyre is my first priority.
Well, why don't you get accepted first, and then we can look at all sorts of things that we can practice with. I don't think I introduced myself.
Otto.
Jemahaya.
Jemahaya.
Yeah.
You're giving me some interesting ones.
Friends usually call me Jem, but
Jem, I like that. Shakes firmly.
So anyways, this is the building, and he says, as he kind of like abruptly stops in front of a tree, he's like, this is the building that you want to go to. I'm sure that the headmaster would be there. Good luck.
Great. And Jem, thank you for the guidance. I hope to see you again on the campus, I say with a big warm smile. Okay.
As you go, he smiles back and gives you like a little pat on the shoulder, and then he turns to leave. As you go walking up into the building, you see somebody that's walking out beaming with this like huge smile on their face, and they're just like, they seem so incredibly happy as they're walking out of the building. They smile, they look you directly in the eyes and smile as well. Do you say anything or do anything, or?
I smile back. That's a good sign to come for me, I'm sure.
I'm sorry?
Oh, nothing. You look happy.
Oh, I know. Oh God, it was just an experience,
Yeah, I'm sure.
Are you here to apply as well?
Yeah. Did you?
I did. Yeah.
I assume it went well.
It did. Oh man, it went so incredibly well.
Well,
they didn't accept me, of course, but it was such a delight to just have the opportunity. And to get the pointers, they are not afraid to tell you what you do wrong.
Well, I commend your attitude.
No, you have to understand. I mean, if you realize the reason why you've been sounding like a cat being slowly run over by a wagon is because your elbow is off by just 3 degrees, you need to measure that and put something in place to remind you. Oh, it was just like, I'm not even joking. They came over and they moved my elbow. They moved my elbow. You should have heard it. Oh, I hit that note, and it was with such beauty. Oh, man. It sounded like a quick murder. It was so much better. I have so much to learn. I'm just going to, I'll probably study for like another 10 years before I try again. I'm just so excited.
That's wonderful. More power to you.
Well,
go to move on.
Good luck.
I've lost enthusiasm for this conversation.
And so you go walking in. Now, you've heard tales of this before, but you've never experienced it. There's a spell. It's called, the more layman's way of calling it is just Magnificent Mansion. And the whole idea is that when you step into a doorway, you expect the inside walls to be somewhat smaller than the outside walls, but overall the general surface area on the inside to be the same, right?
Right.
Instead, when you stepped inside to this tree, you find yourself in a huge, gorgeous, grandiose theater hall. Now, it's not like you're inside the actual theater itself at the moment. You're more in the entrance area on the outside. But just looking around, and how incredibly beautiful this is. You've never seen a theater hall this beautiful before. You've been through theaters. You've seen some back where you're from before, the Halfling lands and the far east and south. You guys have nice theaters. Nothing like this. And judging by just the way that you walked into it, you're assuming literally everything in this place was constructed by magic. So everywhere, everything is exactly where it needs to be. So you walk into this gorgeous theater hall, looking around, and it perfectly fitting the scene that you see outside. It feels like you're in a theater hall in the woods, but you're inside of a tree. And you look around, and there are a handful of people standing around having a conversation. Every single solitary one of them is dressed in clothing that you think is worth more than your equipment. Just their clothes and jewels. It's probably worth more than your equipment. And you probably feel an immediate intimidation because of that. So you walk in, and nobody seems to notice you as you enter.
Okay.
There's about near a dozen people here.
Yeah. Is it obvious to me at all who is, like, you know, the headmaster who's in charge in this room?
No, it is not. Everybody is dressed to the 11s.
So I begin to sort of timidly tiptoe my way through this place, kind of taking advantage of the fact that nobody has noticed that I'm here yet. I want to, like, I now have it in my mind that I need to make my first impression of whoever the headmaster is of me very, very good based on the surroundings I have found myself within. So I'm attempting, as I begin to walk within sight of these people, to look dignified. So I change my timid walk to a more, you know, like, noble, proper stance as I'm just sort of walking hand behind my back, just sort of observing the theater hall as though I'd been here, you know, a dozen times, just kind of taking it all in again. Like, yes, I'm very cultured and influenced heavily by this magical architecture.
Roll me a persuasion check.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you walk in and just kind of like looking like you belong and whatnot. It's not like you look at a place. You actually are dressed very well and everything. But so this is just kind of like you putting an extra oomph onto what your standard already was, like how you normally are. Trying to more or less brush the dirt off your boots sort of approach. So as you go walking around and kind of like take this in and whatnot, looking around, taking in the beauty, you notice there's the paintings on the walls that are just, again, absolutely stunning. Funny enough, the paintings are once again at the outdoors, which you feel like you are outdoors, even though you know you are indoors. And it's just kind of like this surreal experience where you're not sure if you're inside or outside. You think you're both, but neither. So while you're walking around and taking this in and trying to seem like you belong, making your way through the people, eventually somebody actually turns to you and says, "By the goodly graces of the lady who smiles, I think I see the hands of a gambler."
I turn to look to who is addressing me.
This woman that's standing before you, it's another elf. It's an elven woman. She has very dark hair, probably about my actual color hair. It comes all the way down to cover half of her bottom. She stands probably at about 6'2", which is not abnormal for Elvis and Faerun. She stands at about 6'2", extremely long hair, very fair features. Her skin is literally as pale as moonlight. And she looks at you, and she has a bit of a wry smile on her face. Her dress that's complimenting her is this really nice, like, earthy tone greens and browns that's complimenting her extremely well. And she just looks down at you. Once again, you're just like, yeah, I feel as though if I bumped into you, I'd have to give you my sword to make up for the cost. Go ahead.
I look up to her and I say, "Oh, when Lady Timora smiles upon you, one would be remiss not to take advantage." And I return her smile.
Well, I imagine with gambler's hands, you must have rather dexterous fingers. And then she looks to your back where she sees the loot.
No, that's not where this is going. We want to keep this stream monetized.
I don't look so.
But he's like the perfect type for her. No, I'm just kidding.
Got to do to get into this school.
Sorry.
Primary factor here, Bat. All right.
Otto looks at his fingers, wiggles them around a bit, and gives her a slide. No, I don't do that.
Suddenly, you find yourself miraculously teleported out of the city.
I say, well, I have been known to dabble. Just still holding my smile. Would you like to hear a sample?
In fact, I imagine, and she gestures to the other group of people, which by now you've counted 11, including herself. She gestures to the other people in the room. I imagine all of us would, since you seem to walk in here with confidence, but none of us know who you are.
Oh, well, let me address that issue. Adatumo Miltal. I present my full name as I feel it is an appropriate setting.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Would you like to head into the theater?
I would love nothing more.
We will probably not be in there for some time, but you're welcome to just make your way in there, find yourself a bit of comforts. There are, of course, some treats up there for you while you're preparing, and select your piece wisely.
Otto cracks the tiniest of smiles at the mention of treats. I'll make my way.
Okay. As you walk out of there and you walk into the theater, once again, I mean, I have to describe it. Every stone in this place, every cushion, every seat was put there by magic. It is perfection. You even just kind of walking in there, as you walk and you hear your own footfalls and you hear that painful squeaking noise of your overworn boots. The echoing in this place, the acoustics in this place, they literally give you chills. Like you're excited to play music just walking down to the stage because of how amazingly this place has its acoustics. You walk up to the stage and you can see, like, it's a rather large stage, but you can clearly find where it is the center, where it is that you want to be. And you look around, you can see there are, in fact, refreshments up there, a bunch of different pastries and foods, cured meats and cheeses. All of the foods up there look like delicacies. It's one of those things where you're like, I wish I brought grommet and rye to apply as well, just so they could eat this. You know, and
Otto turns.
I like to imagine he takes some and puts it like in his pouch for later for us.
Yeah. So Otto turns.
Second breakfast.
Is there anybody else in the room with me right now?
It doesn't seem to be so.
I storm the table. I just eating it all and just stuff some in my bag for later.
Any crumbs that happen to land on the table, or anything that seems to like shuffle and fall out of place in a way that's not neat, all of a sudden the crumbs just kind of like sweep off of the table and into a barrel nearby. And it's the things that you didn't necessarily touch, but were kind of like knocked and messy, just kind of like relocate themselves to be once again ornately displayed. Looking around and whatnot, you can feel there's another presence in the room, but you know it's not a real person. You're probably familiar with the spell.
Remind me.
Unseen Servant.
Okay.
Yeah. So you storm the table. Once again, delicacies. All of them are amazing. All of them delicious. As a matter of fact, it's one of those things where it tastes so good, it fills you with joy and confidence.
Nice. Is that an actual effect, or is that just a sort of...
No, it actually fills you with joy and confidence.
Cool. Okay. So I have my fill. Eat my pleasure.
I just breaking in for a split second for a video game reference. It just clicked. Silvery Moon is like super magic, right? Like magic everywhere. Yeah. The Blood Elf City in World of Warcraft it's pure magic. Like brooms and stuff sweep everything. The name of that city is Silver Moon.
Oh, World of Warcraft.
That
also,
just
really?
clicked.
There's an ability. Also, there's an ability called Feast that you can like summon. And
This is actually Hero's Feast.
This
is literally he's eating the 6th level cleric spell Hero's Feast right now.
Silver Moon City in WoW, like that. It's like the streets sweep themselves.
There's no clerics though. It's priests.
It's it's priests.
Priest is the same thing.
That just clicked for
mages.
me.
I think mages are the ones who can put the thing down.
But
they also have like
So just so you know, Otto, it's one of those things where if you were to consume for an hour's time, you get several benefits from this. I imagine Otto's picking as he's going. But anyways, cool. So that's funny. Wow. Okay, good job, Blizzard. 10 for 10. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've had my fill, and I, having done so, begin to, I take out my lute and I just begin to kind of practice my scales and just, do all the warm-up stuff. And I'm actually... Once I've got that feeling, it actually, empowers me quite a bit. I was already feeling pretty good having done that really impressive performance out on the quad, but now I'm feeling a little bit of the shakes. But it was really nice to get that meal ahead of time.
It's kind of funny. You're not feeling the shakes. Your nerves are. It's one of those things where you can't feel the shakes.
Good.
You are immune to being frightened.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not. Oh, that won't give me any role benefits, right? But that's still at least a good feeling.
No.
As a halfling, you get plus something to fear, though, I think.
As a matter of fact, could you do me a favor, Otto? Could you roll me an insight check? However, I will give you advantage because this is an introspective, insight check, not introspective.
Okay. All right.
Unfortunately, Otto doesn't know much about himself. Okay.
Oh.
He's too taken with everything around him.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I'll just practice and wait for my audience to arrive.
Okay, so you sit up there and you're strumming your little instruments and make sure it's tuned correctly and contemplating what kind of song it is that you want to play. And you're feeling joy while doing this. Anxiety is removed, stress is removed, anger, frustration, fear, all that stuff's completely removed. You're just feeling joyous right now as you're sitting up there.
And Otto's always felt while he performs that he's best at conveying the emotion he's currently feeling to the audience. So that'll probably dictate my song selection as well. Absolutely.
While you're doing that, we're going to cut quickly over to Rye, hungover the next day, of course, who happens to, because it's a few days later, as I said, have her meeting set with Sook. So when you finally do meet with Sook, you kind of go up to her and meet her over the park and everything. She walks up to you, and it's a very warm greeting, where she kind of, as you're approaching, she kind of like looks up and then looks in your direction.
Is this like the day after, or am I still pissed?
This is a few days later.
All right, thank God.
Yep. She said that she's going to try to get you a meeting with Lady Illustrial herself, but it's going to take her a few days.
Okay, cool.
So as you're approaching her in the park area, she kind of like looks up and is like looking over in your direction with a smile on her face, happy to see you, even though she can't see you. Do you say anything to her, or do you just kind of walk up?
Yeah, right. Just like wishes her a good morning.
Oh,
in Shao.
In Shao, of course, and responding to in Shao because there's no reason to speak another language. She's like, "Oh, it's a pleasure to see you again, Rai. I trust that you're doing well."
She nods.
Well, I come to meet with you as I said I would, but I come with a little bit of unfortunate news. But please don't be upset by that because I have other news to replace it.
Rai like wraps her arm around the woman's arm, and she's like,
"Let's walk and talk," and
just like leads her through the gardens.
That's very sweet of you. And she walks with you. As she's walking with you, she's like, "Now, Rai, I told you I could bend the air of Lady Illustrial and have you meet with her herself to explain things about you a little bit more. Unfortunately, Lady Illustrial had to leave the city quickly to, apparently there was an incident that happened a bit to the east. Something that happened in a small town, Dead Snows, and war has almost broken out, and she has gone to meet with the King of the Orcs to work things through and stop the war from happening. I'm sorry that this is unfortunate for you, but sadly, stopping a war is a little bit more important. You must understand."
It's all right.
Well, because you're not able to meet with Lady Illustrial, and I found this out actually very shortly after our meeting, I did spend the time to, find somebody else that could assist you. And they will be able to, of course, but not they themselves. It's kind of a dual thing. I have a companion of mine that can give you answers now. And then I believe they said they have another companion that can give you answers later.
I think I'm good.
I mean, it certainly will help to answer all these questions that you have. Maybe even peer through the darkness that's shrouding you.
I just got to head south, right? That's what you said?
Well, certainly heading south would get you to where you need to be, and that's where...
I'll just do that. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
You don't want to meet with my friend?
I just don't want to inconvenience anyone anymore. You know?
Well, I mean, that's certainly sweet of you. I feel as though I was inconveniencing you. I asked you to stay in the city for a few days, and you had to wait all this time just to have no news. That could be a bit disappointing. I know the meeting of Lady Illustrial is something that many people hope to one day be able to do.
Rye pauses, and then like she almost kind of feels guilty at how she said, "Oh, you don't want to meet my friend." So she's like,
"Okay, I'll meet your friend."
You're sure you would like to meet with him?
Sure.
Okay.
What have I got to lose, eh?
I suppose not very much, since you're going on very little.
Precisely.
Well, all right, then I will have him meet with you. It's probably going to be in 2 days' time, and he can meet with you. What's a comfortable setting? Would you like the park where we meet? And she kind of like, her head kind of wafts slightly towards you, but not intended to be intentionally. But Rye's not stupid. She's like, perhaps a pub.
Pub's fine.
Okay, well, he can meet with you there then. His name? It's Jarson.
Jarson?
Jarson.
Got it.
I do have to warn you of something, though. He is not someone that you would typically, well, and then she kind of like, her head kind of gestures up slightly towards like the top of your head, but once again, she can't look at you. So it's kind of like she's gesturing up in that direction. She's like, he is a drow.
Right. Okay.
He's not a bad man. Just wanted to make sure that you knew.
Well, you know, my book gets judged quite a lot by the cover, so I'm good.
Okay, well, then you'll meet with him in 2 days' time, and perhaps he could have some answers for you.
All right, then. Thank you for the help.
Oh, of course. And then, again, he has another associate that perhaps you could work with a little bit more in the future.
Okay.
And I suppose with that, we can take our first break.
Sounds good. All right,
We're
guys.
going to come back to Bear and his performance so Maggie can eat.
Sounds good. All right, we'll be back in a couple minutes, guys. Don't go anywhere.